Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. I'm just saying today is the day that I dreamt about that's happening, because when you work for your dreams, they come reality, right? So I have Joseph McClendon III on here. He is a mentor, just an amazing man. And you're going to learn about him. People that don't know, get ready, because he's amazing. He is a leading neuropsychologist and ultimate performance specialist. He's worked with Academy Award winners, Olympic athletes, Grammy winners, billionaire business figures. Joseph is a New York Times best-selling author and founder of the Neuroencoding Institute, which is where I've met him. Known for transformative insights, he specializes in helping individuals achieve peak performance. He is dedicated to supporting veterans and the family around him in the Neuroencoding Institute. I cannot say enough. I could literally spend 45 minutes introducing this man. And Joseph, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, first off, thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for having me on my show, on your show. And as I understand, celebrations are in order because this is 50 for you, your 50th episode. And I have so much respect for that because I know the challenges, the work, and everything it takes to put into this kind of thing. And I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, especially shedding light on this subject. And you pretty much covered a lot of it, or most of it, my friend. I do what I do because somebody did it for me years ago. You know, when I was at the bottom of my life, somebody helped me and taught me about personal development. And it was somebody I didn't know, somebody that cared enough and had enough compassion to see that that they could make a difference in my life. And I made the promise to them that I would do the same for as many people as I could. And that's why I do what I do. So, you know, all the things that you said. And I always like to add to it nowadays, probably the biggest challenge that I've gone through in my life is I'm a father of a 17-and-a-half-year-old son who just got his driver's permit yesterday. So everything that I teach, I'm using on myself now.
Amen, Joseph. So is it a situation of stay off the sidewalks when he's driving, or is he good?
Well, yeah. You know, I love my son more than anything. He's a great kid. And he's, you know, he's almost weighs 17 and a half, and he's waited for a while to do it. And, you know, I don't know if you have children, but they're of that age, but it's a big step for him. So I think, yeah, probably a little bit of that, you know, he has not been behind the wheel yet. So he just has his permit. So we're doing the driver's school, put them behind their car first, and then now ours. So probably a little bit of both.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, I have children. I actually have grandchildren as well. So
oh wow. So you've been through it then, yeah.
I have. And there's still some hair left. Yeah. So you're gonna be all right, man. You're gonna be all right. You have a skill set.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So Joseph, why don't you tell us a little more about, you know, how you became interested in neuroscience specifically, and how that, you know, moved into the Neuroencoding Institute?
Sure. I became interested in it because I had a military father, and my father did not finish high school until after he was married and had children. So, which meant that he went to night school to get his GED, as well as then he got his master's in college. And he was very strict about a lot of things because he was military. But one of the things was you have to get your education. You got to get your education. Matter of fact, it was to my detriment a little bit that he told us. And I remember this was my programming at the time, that unless you have you got to stay in school and keep a good job, or you'll be digging ditches. And that was his thing. So that's you know, so that was what made me pursue my scholastic path. But I was an artist. my mom on the other side, my mother was a musician, a singer, and she was also an artist as well, and she encouraged that, and that's where I gravitated. So I split down the middle for both of them. And so when after the episode when I was homeless at one time, and I was homeless because 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin, and it wasn't what they just did to me; it was what they said to me as well. So all of what the discipline, all the stuff that both of my parents taught me went out the window, and even my self-worth went out the window. Along with that, divide of which way should I go. And I wound up homeless, and then that guy changed my life. So I thought to myself, well, gosh, once I started going and I wanted to help other people, that's when I started studying psychology. And I jokingly yet seriously say that people who study psychology somewhere inside know that it's physician heal thyself. And I knew I had challenges. And as I started studying in the traditional manner and going through that, I started to recognize, oh, wait a minute, what I'm looking to help other people with, I need to help with myself. So I went that path first. And as I did, then things played out where I had a practice in Los Angeles where I was doing one-on-one therapies in those days, if you will. And I realized, again, I wanted to help more and more people, because that was my promise to the gentleman that gave me the book and helped me out. And I started to branch out from there. And then this was back in the 90s and early 90s. And then right around that time was when coaching started to become pretty popular. And I was kind of on the crest of that wave there. So I kind of took what I was doing and I moved into that. And I had, for my formal education, I have my regular formal education, as well as neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis and all those things. And all of those things are what I use to do coaching, as well as doing the one-on-one therapies, if you will. And then I just moved into the coaching because it serves a lot more people, if you will. There are a lot more people, in my opinion, who need coaching and mentoring that believe that well, first off, a lot of people to think that they need therapy. It's heavy on them, and especially men. It's just like, we're tough, so we don't move in that direction as much. So, but to coach somebody, so that's what got me in that genre. And then, as you probably know, I'm 70 years old this year. I'll be 71 this year.
Yes, sir. I was at your birthday party. Yes, sir.
That's right. Yes.
That's when we became Watch Brothers.
Right. That is right. Yes. Invicta Brothers.
Yes.
And I started to look at, because I do lots of large events in all over the world, and people would always ask me, how can I do what you do? And I started to realize, oh, wait a minute, I should teach other people, because that's my way of being able to spread it even further than myself. And that's why amazing people like yourself, who is dual elite certified in doing this, and you're changing people's lives and helping people as well. So like I said to you before when we came on here, you're helping me fulfill my dream and my passion and my dedication to helping more people. So I thank you so much.
I'm proud to carry on the legacy, my friend. Truly am. Neuroencoding has literally changed my life. I won't go into this deep, but there was a time that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. Now keep in mind, I'm 50 years old when this happens. And of course we saw you at UPW, and we've always been drawn to you, and we signed up, and life's never been the same, my friend. Life has never been the same. So thank you.
Wow. You mean this stuff works?
It does. It does every day, I'll tell you. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to tell you something, that your father was right. Your father was right.
Yeah.
I did drop out of school, and I did dig ditches.
Yeah.
And then I built companies and everything after that. But you know what? He was right.
Yeah. And I thank God every day that he taught me that. I say to my detriment a little bit, because I was divided, and I did also become a musician and did all those things. Well, so I did both. So his a dedication to making sure that his children had an education. To me, it's the same with my own son. I want to make sure that he has that, at least has those tools to be able to go out there and dig those ditches and build companies and do whatever life hands him.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. Truly.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, let's talk a little about the Neuroencoding Institute if we can. So, you've built with Kay and Shai, who actually were on here a couple of days ago, which was an amazing.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah, they were fantastic. They always are. But you've built this family in the Neuroencoding Institute. I'm so grateful for it because, again, it literally changed my life, Joseph. You've put together these instructors, Binu and Michael Pope, and without Michael Pope, this wouldn't be happening. And, of course, Stephen and so on. But the family that you've created, it's not like any other program out there. And we're not here to sell the program. I'm just wanting to show my gratefulness, my friend, because it literally changes lives, and I see it every day. So your legacy is amazing, and will continue on forever. So, amen.
Thank you. And I cannot take even half of the credit for all of the work that has gone into putting this together, making it happen, and the family and everything, putting it together and coming out the way that it is, because I have an amazing team of people, not the least of which being Brandon and Kay and Shai and Megan and Maria and everybody else that does that as well. And the instructors that you mentioned are the best of the best. And our outcome in this is not just to be able to teach people stuff, but to not just give them the tools, but make sure that they're fully supported continually. So, and that's what Michael and Stephen are there for. They are instructors that are there, live calls and all those things to make sure they're instructed. And the reason why, as you know, I have all these certifications and all these different genres and all these different things, including my formal education. And whenever I got my diplomas and degrees and things like that, it was like, here you go, good job, see ya. And so we weren't taken care of it. And as you said, Michael Pope, the reason you're here is because of Michael, and he's one of our instructors. So we want to make sure that people are taken care of and know what to do after they've gone through their certification, so that they can make their dreams happen, as well as change people's lives and everything that comes along with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, feel grateful beyond measure, man. Thank you. So I'd like to just really quick, I want to mention at the end of the show, Joseph is going to give 3 tips to get everybody further faster. As you can see a sign back there behind him. So stay to the end of the show. On the top right-hand corner, let's see if I can point this right. Okay, over here on the screen, you see a blue QR code. Scan that. It takes you to Empower Performance Strategies. There are tools. There's some books that I've written. There are Facebook groups. There's all kinds of resources for veterans and their families. Please scan that. Please get involved. Be part of a community. It's there for you guys, and I just want to make sure we mention that before we get into this, because I forget to mention it a lot, Joseph. Because I get into these amazing conversations and forget. All right, so if we can you share a success story using neuroencoding that made a significant impact in maybe a veteran's life or a family member's life with overcoming, toxic 10 or PTSD, specifically?
Yeah, I actually have several of them to choose from because, as I said before, men in general, we have a harder time in general seeking help. The old thing that I know I grew up with is we won't even ask for directions. And now we don't have to, because we have phones and things like that. And so the way that I approach it is this. Number one, and it's really important that that people understand this is not therapy. This is coaching, and there's a distinct difference between that. And I always tell people, if you are, and so we're not going to medicate. We're not psychologists. Well, actually, a lot of us are psychologists and psychiatrists and things like that. So we don't medicate or suggest that you get on or off any kind of medication. This is about coaching. And so not only is it easier on the ears and heart for because men in general, and I say men, but this is across the board, because there's women, veterans, and men across the board. Everybody understands the value of being coached, especially these days. And so that's why we always make that. As a matter of fact, that is in our disclaimer, everything. This is not therapy. This is coaching. Now, do you get some of the benefits of therapy? The answer is yes. But the reason why we went along this path was because we wanted to make sure that everybody gets it, that with a coach, you can make incremental steps that will turn into geometrically or not incremental to geometric, so that the steps that you do, the processes that you do, build upon each other, and you change how you feel along with how you view things, how you think, how you feel, what you do, and all those things. And certainly not lastly, you know me better than that. Matter of fact, they gave me a T-shirt that says "lastly" because I say that all the time, and but it's never the last thing. Is that it is something that gives people the ability to do it for themselves. And because, as you know, if I tell you something, you might believe me. But if you tell you something, then you will believe you. And the pride that comes along with doing something for yourself, and the recognition that, wait a minute, I changed that. It does several things. Number one, it gives you that internal certainty. But the other thing that it does is makes it so that you can apply what you've learned to other things in your life as well. And you get to watch the results, and you get to experience the results, and you know that you did it, not somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and for PTSD specifically, are there certain techniques in the neuroencoding tool bag, if you will, or are there certain thoughts that you have around that? I'm a big believer of, get rid of break down the BS system of what that event meant to you, right? And give it a new meaning. And I found that is super successful with breaking down PTSD and then, going from there with future pacing, et cetera. So are there things that you have found specifically?
Yeah. And first off, I couldn't agree with you more with regard to helping them recognize really what it is and make the decision what it is, versus having allowed society to say that this is what it is and that there's something wrong with you, or so on and so forth. So just by doing what you said in terms of breaking down the BS, the belief systems, those kinds of things, then what happens is they start to go, well, wait a minute. And it takes the emotion out of it. It starts to pull it away, and they start to recognize that it's I hate to use the word mechanical, but it really is. You do this, this will happen, do this, and this will happen. And so I would say that one of the things that, this just from your certification, that our number one thing is to help them figure out what it is that they want. What do they want? Because most people that are suffering from or dealing with PTSD, and that does include their families and friends and everybody else around, is focused on what they don't want. They don't like how they feel. They don't like what's happening to that person, or how they're treating other people, or whatever. And they're in such uncertainty. When you help people go, okay, well, I want to feel better. At the very least, I want to feel better. I want to be able to get up in the morning and feel good. I want to be able to do the things without having this thing cloud me all the time. I want to do this. I want to do that. Then what happens is now we got somewhere we can start. Now we got our fingernails underneath the scab, if you will, so we can. And I'm not talking about ripping it off, but I'm saying now we can start making some progress. So how we start there to get them to realize what it is that they want, and then secondly, what you were saying, help them figure out really what this really is. And dismantle the beliefs that they have about what it is, because the term PTSD carries along with it a stigma that people are ashamed of, publicly and internally, and a lot of people don't want to admit it. And you mentioned something earlier. You said, Michael, that help them deal with the event. Well, a lot of people had a lot of different events.
Sure.
My father came back a different man, and I will say I wish he would have, and I was able to help him later on in life. Now he passed a little over 7 years ago, and so I was able to help him later on because it stuck with him for a long time. But I was younger than my son when my father came back from Vietnam, a completely different man, and it actually cost him. My parents split up after that, and he had some alcoholism and had a lot of things that came along with that, and we didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do, and he was one of those big strong guys that was there's nothing wrong, and they stuff it down and that kind of thing. But as he got older and we started to communicate more, Michael, he started to tell me about different incidents. And one of them was, if not to get too graphic about it, but was to kill another man. And he said this through tears. And he said, my father was in the Air Force for 24 years. And on his 25th year, which was going to be his last year in the service, they sent him to Vietnam. And so that alone was trauma for him. That's what he talked about the most, because he felt betrayed. He felt like he had served his country and done all this stuff. My father was an unbelievable patriot, till the end. And he instilled that in us as well, loving our country. And he was the guy that every Veterans Day or Memorial Day, he was out there putting the flags and boots on the ground and things like that, and things like that. And what he had said was, and I shared this with him as well, and I still hope to make it through my life without having to take another human being's life. And he said that what they did was they put him on one of the most dangerous jobs there, which was a helicopter gunner. And what he would do, the helicopters would not just fly in and ground support, but they would fly in and they would pick up wounded, as well as when another helicopter got shot down, they had to go not only pick up the crew if they lived, but they had to destroy the helicopter that was down so that the enemy wouldn't get it. And he said he knows, he can't say that he actually saw somebody getting shot that he shot, but he was shooting bullets into a crowd of the enemy coming towards the soldiers that were on the ground. And just that alone was traumatic. Because my father, despite being, a real man's man, was also a compassionate man. And he said that through tears, that was some of the trauma as well.
Yeah. And that is, I'm going to say the pattern, if you will, that I see over and over again. And my father as well, Vietnam vet, 3 tours, came back and was never the same from the first tour.
Right.
Alcohol, drugs, domestic violence, all of those things. And he found himself in the VA finally said at the end of his life, hey, we recognize you have a problem. And literally it changed. And he joined him and did all these things, unfortunately passed. But he got that year of being himself again, which is fantastic.
Oh, that is spectacular. I mean, at the very least, that's spectacular.
Absolutely. So my wife and I, Susan, who you've met as well, of course, at your birthday party and so on. We're just talking about exactly, the medevacs going in and doing what your father did and how traumatic that would be, because there's bullets flying, you're trying to save lives, they're loading and unloading bodies, one way and the other. It was horrific for them to go through those things. So
and in addition to all of that, you're fearing for your own life. You don't know that every time you go out, you're not going to come back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. And being vulnerable. And of course, we love our stories, right? I mean, that's how we connect. So thank you. So as far as unique challenges, so I focus with transitioning. So people getting out of the military, and that could be a 2-year, deployment. It could be like my friend Tina Parker. Well, Tina Parker. She's part of the Neuroencoding Institute, 23 years in the military. So when they're transitioning, this is generally when the problems really start. They lose their camaraderie. They feel alone. They have grown, both families and the veterans themselves have grown in different ways, good and bad. And so, communication and reconnecting and those kinds of things, which are, a major problem. And when they're not connected and they go into solitude, and, that's when we get into trouble and we have such a high veteran suicide rate. So tips on transitioning.
Absolutely. And you're doing it with this here. And I heard you say it with the QR code. Community is essential, because being around people that have similar types of challenges, whether they're the exact same ones, but they're similar, the people that you can feel the energy that you're going, and people are going through stuff. This is an unfortunate, however, reality of human beings is misery loves company, however, offering, first off, again, community is unbelievably important. A community of people that are like-minded, that have gone through those things. And when people are in those types of communities, guess what they're looking for? They're looking for ways to not feel the way that they are. They're feeling better on some level because they're around people that are like themselves.
Right.
If, like, and I shouldn't say if, and again, my hat is off to you for what you're doing and putting the focus and putting the spotlight on that thing. You have somebody that is offering them methodology to make a change and offering them some clarity on what's really going on and offering them a pathway to get what they want and offering them a way to help figure out what they want. And then that's when that community becomes more than a community. It becomes a way of life. And it becomes, and that's what, if you peel it all away, they want a different life. They don't want to feel the way that they're feeling anymore. They want a different life. And even though most of them don't know what that life looks like, there's a lot of, and I know I'm preaching to the choir as I'm saying this, because you've done so much more than even I have in this area. Yeah, bring it on. There's so much regret. There's so much regret and unforgivingness to themselves about what happened. And lack of clarity about what happened. And I'll say this, the term, it's one of the things that I like to do is help people, you said this as well, and that is to redefine this challenge that they're going through. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, carries along with it an unbelievable stigma of negativity and weakness for most people. Right. And so when you help them go, listen, everybody has trauma. And obviously I'm saying this after, as part of the journey that you're getting. You don't just walk in front of a bunch of people and just, hey, snap out of it. You're going to have that rapport. You got to connect with them and everything. And for the conversation that we're having right here, the truth of the matter is everybody has trauma. And traumas happen once, but the memory of that trauma continues to happen over and over again. So I said this earlier, a man or a woman that was in battle, and oftentimes people didn't even go to battle, by the way. People have, people have PTSD that didn't even go into battle. But the thought of it, or the thought that they're going to have to do that gives them trauma, that gives them stress. People start to go through that kind of stuff. So if you start to, as you start to help people recognize, well, listen, this is just that. And again, it's not something that I straight up say. I help bring it out of them, as you do as well, to recognize that everybody has trauma. And the best part about it is other people have gotten on and gotten over it and healed themselves and gotten beyond. And when people start to recognize, they start to go, oh yeah, well, me too. I want to be one of those people as well. Then how can I do it? And the best part about neuroencoding is it's process-based. Yes. Versus just, strategy or just therapy and let me just talk to you and everything. There's things that you can do. I say it's process over knowledge, because you can tell people things and educate people. But as I always say, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, that people that want to lose weight, they know how to lose weight. They have all the knowledge in the world, and the internet's full of it. There's a million different diets. They just don't do what they know. And so there's a process of getting people to do what they know. And so when you help people figure out what it is, what they want, and then help them with the process, and it's not overnight. It's not overnight, as you know. It is a process in doing that. And the best part about it is you may have suffered from PTSD for 30, 40, 50 years. But it's not going to take 30, 40, 50 years to get to where you want. You can make that, we turn decades into days, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. And I want to circle back. We talked about that. Let's about being around like-minded people, right? Super important. And you always say, and I'm stealing it because you're in my head, don't be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Yeah. So surround yourself with people, like-minded people that raise you up, that bring you to that next level. That's super important. And again, community. Look around those 5-7 people that you spend your most time with, because those are your standard.
Yeah, and there's 3 individuals in that community. There's 3 types of people in that community. From anybody that is in that community looking at everybody around. There are people that have had it worse than you. There are people that had it less than you, And then there's you,
Right?
and oftentimes people will go and they're comparing themselves. Okay, well, at least I'm not as bad as that guy right there. Or, gosh, this person had it worse than me. And then they go, well, wait a minute. Around it, who am I? Because you've heard me say this saying as well: self to self for progress, self to others for possibility. And so when you're looking at somebody else and you're going, this person has had it worse than me, then a lot of people will go, well, maybe feel like that person and go, yeah, that's just as bad. And, and I go through it as well. And I go through that as well. Instead go, wow, this person is here and I'm here. Wow, look at the progress that I've done. Or if you see somebody that has had it easier than you still get to do the same thing. You get to look at that person and go, look at what this person is, and I'm here. So the progress that I can make because they've made progress because they're not. They're here. Then it gives you some control, and that, as you know, along with that challenge, PTSD, is this they feel like they don't have control of their lives. And that's why they oftentimes, I say, they will substance abuse and drink and over medicate and self medicate and do those things as well.
And sit there and scroll on your phone. All those are addictions, right? Yeah.
I heard a term for that you may or may not have heard, Michael, and that is doom scrolling.
My wife has been saying that. I don't know if she got it from you. She's in the Neuroencoding Institute as well, so I'm not sure if she got it from you or where she got it, but she has been saying that as well. So
yeah, I know exactly where I got it, and I didn't make it up. I was doing an event maybe 6 months ago, and the techs that were doing the AV, the sound and videos and things like that, they told me about it because I said, well, what do you guys do? Back here when I'm up there running my mouth, and because I don't always use a lot of slides or videos and things like that, so they got a lot of time on their head. And the guy goes, doom scroll. I go, what is that? And he goes, Instagram, or that kind of thing. So.
It's kind of a perfect name, really.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So, we have some veterans on here and so forth, and they're loving the information and so forth. So thank you again for doing this.
My pleasure.
Corey Matthews, and we have the Castilles on, who've been on multiple times. Just some great comments and things. So really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I'm very honored for you to do this with us.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So if we can, we're going to go back to where veterans get into trouble again, transition. So, the big thing, and Tina Parker, a retired, Lieutenant Colonel Tina Parker, she brought up very beginning, I talked to her and she's been a mentor. She's been fantastic with me. So, talked about purpose. And Kay and Shai, we talked about this and, brought up, fulfillment's even a better word.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. And again, it's a major concern or issue that I see pattern when people are getting out of the military, where they come out and they are, there's the 2 weeks of woohoo, they're just got married and woohoo, everything's great, that time period, and then real life sets in, right? Just like when you go to a seminar or something, right? If you don't have that follow up in that community. So give me some thoughts and tips as far as finding your purpose or fulfillment, some steps when you get out of the military, so you go in hitting the ground running and moving forward with your life for that.
Yeah, I like to help people figure out that first off, there's not just one purpose. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of people go through their lives looking at other people and going, well, gosh, Elon Musk, he's had a purpose, and all these people, and they use these people that they can see that this person is doing one solitary thing that they think that is the main thing that person has put on the planet for. And so having that's overwhelming at the very least. And so when you're faced with that and you're going, okay, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. I'm not, college educated, or I don't have this skill. I'm not, 7 feet tall, so I can't play basketball or anything like that. I don't have that. But the truth of the matter is, you got lots of different purposes. You're a parent, you are a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, all of those things. Those are your purposes as well. And if I was to say, and I am, to say to everybody to recognize that the one purpose that we all have, that everybody has, is to assist our fellow man. It's undeniably it's something when people start to recognize a couple things as we go along with that. if you look at that, most people will do more for other people, especially their children and their family and things like that, than they will for themselves.
Absolutely.
That's purpose. That is purpose. Now, what happens is when you get people on that, and again, our methodology helps them figure that out without us just saying that or teaching it to them. Then what happens is they start to feel like, well, I'm already living a purpose, and then the brain starts to remember, along with us helping them figure out what it is that they want, that wait a minute, I can do anything. I can make anything my purpose. And that's what coaching does, is help them figure out, well, which one is most important, which one is most enjoyable, which one of these is the thing that you would like to do to attach your boat to, or your cart to, or whatever. And this is the thing that you're going to excel at. Then you start to develop purpose. See, purpose doesn't just fall out of the sky. Even, for example, if I use people like, some of the most successful people that are around, and I use people like Elon Musk, no matter what you think of his politics or who the person is or whatever, that didn't just fall into his lap. He didn't wake up as a child and go, I'm going to be the richest guy in the world, or and build electric cars. That came from his journey or his voyages along. So what I like to do is say, let's start a voyage. And at the very least, what can you do to be of more service to other people, to help other people? And when in the case of veterans, the majority of them now, in my day, and I almost got drafted. And so it wasn't going to be a choice of mine to join the service.
Right.
My father joined the service, and many, many people joined the service out of love for their country, out of wanting to do something. And by the way, even if you got drafted, it's going to get drilled into you in boot camp. You know better than I do about this. Even though I grew up with the drill sergeant, my father wasn't a drill sergeant, but he had some of those traits with him.
Yeah, it's very much conditioned. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna get conditioned that, listen, you're here to protect your country. You're here to be this kind of person that other people aren't willing to step up and do. That pride of being in the service of whatever branch it was, and that becomes your purpose. That becomes your purpose in a moment. But people don't, and like you said, when they leave the service and they have that euphoric moment, well, I'm out, now what am I going to do? And everything's great and everything. Then all of a sudden it hits them. I don't have somebody, and I don't have an organization. I don't have a foundation that is going, this is your purpose that I can identify with.
Right.
So instead, take that and go, that has been my purpose. How do I use what I know to build another purpose?
Love it. Absolutely love it. And these are just, we in the Neuroencoding Institute get you. I mean, you're live. We get to train with you. We are there with you. So we hear these things, and I just love that everybody else is, in listening, and of course the podcast later is getting to hear all these golden nuggets. So amazing stuff. Thank you, Joseph.
My pleasure. And you know what? You told me this before we started, and I didn't realize it because I'm seeing the comments come up that this is live. So hello, live people, and thank you so much for joining us and being a part of that as well. And I will say that first off, Michael, what you're doing and what you have done and what you're building and everything, please spread the news. If you're listening to us now or later, spread the news, because there are a lot of people that are out there right now that don't know that or haven't really even admitted it to themselves that there is a challenge, and they don't even label it as PTSD, especially younger people. Especially younger people that have not gone through it. People that have suffered for a long time, they tend to go, "Oh, there's something wrong with me," and it maybe originated with the service, and then now that it's been brought to the forefront and it's been given a label and that kind of thing. It takes them a while to get around to realize, maybe I'm dealing with this right here. Right. So please spread the news. Please spread it and let people know that here's a community, that there are like-minded people that are, and there is a process, if you will, to help you get where you want to go.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And please, I'm not throwing shade. I'm using your term again on the VA. All right, the VA is out there doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
There are a lot of processes, and a lot of people out there doing great work. Gina Iovino, we're partnering up, and she does a lot of stuff for veterans and so on. So there are a lot of people out there doing it. But spread the word. Share this. Share the message, because there are so many people out there still hurting. across
Yeah,
the
and
world.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
And
please.
sharing and spreading the word doesn't mean going to somebody and going, "Hey, you were in the service, so you probably have PTSD," or
Oh,
you got a drink problem. But sharing it means, "Hey, I just listened to something that you might find interesting." If you've been in the service, I just listened to something that you might find interesting to help people go further faster. That's it.
yes.
And in that way, there's no stigma along with it. Because if you go to somebody and say, "Hey, you got some problems," and you happen to face somebody that's a mismatcher, they're gonna push back against you. They're gonna go, "I don't need that." And there's plenty of people that are that way. But if you go to people, listen, I have this great community where there's people that are veterans, that are helping each other go further faster. Who doesn't want that?
Right.
That makes it, digestible.
And thank you for bringing that up, because that is super important. That is super important, because odds are those veterans are going to say, I can't say it on here. Bloop.
Yeah.
So you have problems too, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're right. They're right in saying that. Who are you to tell me? You're not a professional. You haven't been through what I've been through.
Absolutely.
And they're right in feeling and saying that as well. So don't, I always say to you, blame me. Go say, listen, it's not me. It's this person here who has helped so many other people, or this person here has just got some great advice. This person is a coach that's going to help you go further faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you. We are getting low on time, so we're going to go move on. I got two more things I want to go through with you, sir, if we can. Communication. So again, when a transition period, when people come back together, again, there's the honeymoon period, and then real life sets in. Give us some quick tips if you can. Doesn't have to be that quick, but some quick tips on how to open up that communication and just be there for each other, being present, and not just being overwhelmed by life, if you will.
Yeah. The first tip is that I want to share with everybody is relax. I know that sounds like unicorns and crystals and rainbows and so simple and things like that. But remember, this is post-traumatic stress disorder. And stress is tightness. Stress shuts down the blood system, shuts down the nervous system, puts you in the amygdala, puts you in your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. And if you're in stress, the analogy I like to use is in caveman days, the tiger would show up, the saber-tooth tiger would show up, and that person would go into fight or flight, and one of two things would happen. They would flight and get away from the tiger, or they would fight. But in the end, either they won or they lost. If they lost, the stress is gone because now they're tiger food. If they won, the stress is gone because the tiger's gone. But in life, the tiger never goes away. There's, and it's put in front of us all the time, and we're always reminded of it all the time. And we have that stress that's constant, and we don't have a release from it. And as a matter of fact, we're talking about doom scrolling and watching screens. You've heard me talk about this before. They're designed to keep you stressed. And you got teenagers, and you got, got everything going on. So you're under stress. So number one, take some time to go and relax. Schedule it into your day, because as soon as you do, the brain is going to release dopamine, oxytocin, and all the different hormones that make you feel good. And that's what we're looking for. Those endorphins, all of those things that make us go, okay, there is light at the end of the tunnel, or there is, and to give yourself that. So from that place, then step number 2 is seek out people like yourself, Michael Cole. And that is to seek out people that can help you. Number 1, figure out what it is that you want. Number 2, figure out what, if it's the incident or accumulation of incidents, figure out exactly and describe what that is. We got 3 questions. What is the truth? The truth is something happened in the past that caused you to feel afraid, that caused you to have regret, that caused you to do something. Number 2, what do you want out of that situation? And it's not, I want to forget that, because that's focusing on what you want. What you want is to be able to use that to go further faster. And then the third thing is, what are you going to do about it? And then that is also the third of those 3 things that I just said there, is to seek out and have methodology, process to, at the very least, mitigate the emotions that you have about the past and replace them with something that serves you. You know, we've got different things like the stop technique and change personal history. The saying that I like to say is, and I didn't make this up, is that it's never too late to have a happy childhood, you know, and you can't change what happened. You can change how you feel about it though. And so, you know, those tips, though, you know, start there, relax. And number two, seek out, you know, a way to figure out exactly what it is so that you can describe it, what it is that stopped you. Number three is to, in other words, describe it the way that it is. Number three is to find a methodology to mitigate and replace.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Out of respect for your time, we are at 45 minutes. Can I ask one more question? Are we okay?
Yeah, we're fine. You don't scare me. All right.
Thank God. Thank you. And lastly, just joking, celebration. You took us right into that automatically. So I see Kathy Castile over here. Shake that ass, get up and shake that ass.
Yeah.
So if you can you give us how important is celebration, and not just the big ones, the small ones, all of them? How important is celebration to change your life into gratefulness?
Yeah, let's talk about why it's so important as well. You know, the analogy I use all the time, and I hope you do as well. When a baby turns around for the very first time and utters "ma" to the mother and father, the parents don't go, "You didn't get it right." You know, the word is mother. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself. And people that are achievers, I often speak to a lot of overachievers, if you will, but achievers and just people in general, we have been conditioned to beat ourselves up, conditioned to criticize ourselves, and to instead of saying, "Here's what I've done, here's what I didn't do," or looking at somebody else and going, "They're doing better than me." And so when the baby does utter those first words, the parents do what? They praise the baby. They praise the baby, and the baby's nervous system in that moment, the eyebrows go up, and they're getting what every human being wants, is to be praised, is to be recognized, is to be acknowledged, for what they did or for anything like that. That's what we want. And as soon as that happens, remember the dopamine, the oxytocin, and the endorphins, that floods our body and the brain every single time, not some of the time, not most of the time, but all of the time. The brain goes, "What happened before I got that hit of feel-good juice?" And it will tie whatever happened before to the feel-good juice. And then the brain is always going to go, "Let's do it again." That's why all babies walk and talk and so on and so forth. But as adults, what we've learned to do is to squash it down and to criticize ourselves and beat ourselves up and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, we do that to people that are around us as well. You should have done better, that kind of thing. So we're not babies anymore. So, you know, once you get past a certain age, you know, when you were little, your parents would praise you because you pooped in the toilet, you know, versus in your pants, you know. But when we're older, it ain't nobody's going to praise you. So you got to rely on yourself. You've got to praise yourself. And it has so many benefits from that, not to mention other people start to realize that, wait a minute, I feel good around this person but when you praise yourself, you're doing the same thing. Then when you're beating yourself up, you are doing the same thing as scolding the child. So, you know, we have different methodologies, but it's as simple as smiling. And you said this, it's not just the big things. You know, I can be in a crowd of, and I was in a crowd of 1,000 people, actually 3,000 people total in Australia just a few days ago. And I always ask this question. And the question is, what do you do to celebrate right now? And people always go, every once in a while, people say, well, I buy myself something good, or I go have a drink, or I do something like that. And the truth of the matter is, you don't wait to tell that, you know, to praise the baby. You got to do it instantly. And the baby didn't do something monumental. And success is built on success. So praise yourself for every little thing. Yeah, even praise yourself for when you do poop in the toilet at, you know, whatever age you are right now. And I know it sounds silly, but the truth of the matter is repetition is the mother of all skill, but repetition with praise is the father. And so what that makes it is you start to feel better about yourself, everything. You know, you start to walk through this life that, hey, I'm a success. I made it this far in life. What else is possible? Absolutely. And that's how the brain works, because the brain is always, always, always going to seek pleasure, seek, what it's something else. We call it the carrot on the stick. We always want more. It's built inside of us. And so we can employ, this is methodology again. This is process that people can use. And so I say to everybody, at the very least, put a smile on your face or pat yourself on the back, or as you said before, shake that ass, do whatever it takes as much as you can for anything that you've just done and things that you remember from the past.
Yes.
Because as you do that, then the brain starts to go, I'm a badass. Of course I can do this. Of course I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I just want to add to that if I can. So really quick, can people just celebrate, smile, pat yourself on the back? And I promise you, the goofier you get with it, the more you're going to smile and the more endorphins and things that are going to be released. And
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Can I ask you, are the same endorphins and same chemicals and all these amazing hormones the same that you get when you eat chocolate and have sex?
The answer is yes, but it is here. Yeah, it's such a great question. It's the amounts that, because listen, you can have little what they call dopamine drips, or you can have a big flood of it, and it depends on how radical you're willing to go in anything. How radical you're willing to do that. You've been to seminars where I get people standing on their chairs, shaking their asses and yelling out, all kinds of things. And I encourage them and move them along that way with the influence model that we use to help people get outside of their comfort zone and to recognize that it's okay to be silly. So the answer is yes. It's the same chemical. It's the amounts of those chemicals in the duration of time that it's being given out.
Excellent. So I thank you so much, Joseph, for being here. But I did promise 3 final tips to get veterans further faster. If you can do that for us, you can. Yeah,
actually, there were the three that I gave earlier. Number 1 is to relax. Take some time, schedule it. Use that doom scrolling thing to tell it to at least once a day. Stop and relax. And now that we've had this conversation with regard to celebrating. Celebrate while you're relaxing. I just relax. Take some time to do that because your body really wants to do that. It's like I'll say this. It's like when I just a couple days ago, I travel a lot. And so we were in Australia, we were in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. We had a day in between each of them, but we're in a different city every night. And it was a lot to do. And so in my brain, I always go, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home. I love what I do, and I can't wait to get home. Because as soon as I walked in my door, guess what I did? Just relaxed. Now, I do something every day, but I got there and celebrated that. Second thing is to make sure, and I say in this case right now, obviously what you're doing is such incredible and amazing work, Michael, is to seek somebody that's going to help you recognize exactly what this really is. It is trauma that happened a long time ago, that happened a while ago. Our behaviors are just behaviors, and we can change. So find somebody to help you recognize, or do it on your own, recognize what this really is, what it really is. The truth of it is, it's trauma. It's something that happened a while ago. Everybody has trauma, and you can change that. And then the third thing is to find methodology. And I know that it is, obviously we do this. We created the Neuroencoding Institute and Neuroencoding. Find somebody that's going to help you through, and it doesn't have to be neuroencoding. It can be anything. It can be lots of other things. I'm not throwing them under the bus either. And as a matter of fact, I want to give credit to the VA and efforts that they have been out there, because all of it works if you do it. And so put yourself in the community and find people that are going to help you do that as well. Those are my 3 tips that I stick with. And I say, as you do those things, other things unfold.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't just go, okay, you got one visit. And by the way, that was my challenge with traditional therapy was that you'd come in and we work on just a little bit of it while I'm there. And then you go away and then you come back. And then when you're back, then and we work on a little bit more. You'll come, what neuroencoding is, let's work on it now. Let's bring it up. Let's deal with it right now. And I'm going to give you something to do while I'm gone. So when I see you next time, it's just like a coach. A coach says, okay, here's what you do. You need to work on this part of your basketball shot, or this way of throwing the football, or doing that kind of thing. And then so we give you something to do. And while you're doing it, the brain remembers. The brain actually creates new neuroassociations, whether it is you're being coached on a sport, or you're being coached on, changing your emotions, or you're being coached on anything at all. So giving them something to do when you're not there, because to me, that's the most important thing. Yeah. It's like, it's great. I can help you feel good right now. I can put a smile on your face right now. I can tell a joke right now. When you leave, and as you said, when you go into your life and life sets in, or as my friend Les Brown says, life be lifing, it steps up. If you don't have a mechanism so that you default to your best, you default to optimism versus pessimism, then you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for those tips. Hey, listen, really quick, I'm feeling like going bold. Like when I asked Joseph McClendon III, will you be on my podcast? I want to go bold here, guys. I'm gonna just put out 5 1-hour coaching sessions for people that are struggling or having issues, anything like that, for free. Go to empowerperformancestrategies.com. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to help. So reach out. You go in there and you can set up an appointment. So the first 5 people, just go in there and do it. Let's help somebody today. Okay. So
yeah. Michael, I'm sorry I have to cut you off, and I got to say, number one, if you're listening to this now and or later, regardless, go there and do it, because this man is a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and he's also not doing it just because it's something that makes him feel good. He's doing it because he is spreading the word. Together, we're all going to make a difference. I always say this, that it is not going to be our government. It's not going to be politics. It's not going to be anybody else that makes the biggest difference in this world. It's going to be brave people that help each other, that are out there, that are making a difference in other people's lives, that's going to change this world. I am the eternal optimist, and I encourage you, I invite you, I implore you to become part of this team of people that is going to make a difference. Physician, heal thyself first. Go get some help for whatever. And even if you're doing it because you have somebody in your family or somebody else around that you want to help them, then just do it. Make sure you do this. And it is so generous of you to be giving this for free. This is invaluable stuff. And lastly, I will say this, that you don't just get it for yourself. You get it, and you will, as we always say, teach it to other people as well. You don't have to do what Michael and I are doing. You are an example for other people as well. And it's not lastly. I will say this, that those of us that dare to dream while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, you're not only going to create the abundance and the life that you want for yourself, but you're going to be a shining example for other people to be able to look at and go, because they did it, it's possible for me as well.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And thank you. Thank you for the kind words, obviously. So lastly,
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard, isn't it? Because every time you say that, you go, "Oh wait, I forgot this." Oh, I got it. Yeah,
totally. I'm horrible about it. My wife will tell you that in a second. But now it's a joke. So thank you for bringing lastly into my life. That's
the first time I've ever been thanked for that. You're welcome.
Absolutely. If it's within 50 feet, take it.
Yep.
So honestly, Joseph, and everybody here listening, 50th celebration for the podcast. I'm honored everybody's shown up, and Joseph, for you taking the time. As humans, it's our most precious resource. We don't get this time back. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spreading your wealth, knowledge, and your love and your light. And I'm eternally grateful. We don't get the time back. Thank you for being here.
It is my absolute pleasure. And, thank you for, especially on your 50th, I feel so honored in doing that. And I applaud you for what you're doing and the difference you're making in other people's lives. And you said this earlier, and I will end on this, that life is always exactly what you dare to make it. And fortune favors the bold. And so the trick to life is to be bold, boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And on that, lastly, for real, we're out of here. Bye-bye.
See you guys later.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire.